Good
Good morning.
morning, Emily.
How are
Every
you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to see you this morning.
It is so good to see you. Do you remember we used to do our morning meetings on Fridays?
Every
Our,
Friday morning, but it was
yes,
much earlier than this. We may not have people joining us if we go 6 a.m.
exactly. So it's fun to start the year off doing these Facebook Lives. I'm really hoping that people are excited as us and will chime in and connect with us. Before we totally get started and letting people kind of come in, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Angela Lamond. I am the owner of Lamond Nutrition, and man, it used to be a baby project of mine back in 2008 and 9, and it has, wow, has grown so much over the last several years. We have been able to really serve a lot of dietitians, a lot of a lot of physicians, and of course a lot of people in the community, families. My dream as a pediatric dietitian in the hospital was to be able to walk alongside families in all areas of food and nutrition, being able to raise healthy eaters, raise confident
Hmm.
eaters, competent eaters. And our practice has come full circle in the last several
Hmm.
years. Now we have 15 dietitians. Can you believe that, Emily?
It's, and I would say even more, just in the last 2, 3, 4 years, it's been so crazy to watch how we've
Unbelievable.
been able to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Um, yeah, Emily joined me when introduce yourself so we everybody knows who
So
you
I'm
are.
Emily Dudensing. I'm one of the dietitians here at Lamont Nutrition. I joined Angela in 2015. And I always laugh around this New Year time. You see memories of Christmas parties. And
Yeah.
I think at my first Christmas party, it was me, you, and our Terry, who used to work with us. There were three people at that Christmas party. And so then
Oh
this
my
last year, there were 10. So the
Oh
growth
man.
we've seen over the last, really, I would say 3 to 4 years has been awesome. So it's so fun. I see, like
Oh,
Angela was saying earlier, we work with a wide variety of patients
yes.
here. I see a wide variety myself, just like Angela does. I am actually not located in one of our proper offices. I live in West Texas on a farm. So that's a new
Isn't that
transition for
amazing?
me this year, which has been fun. So yeah, but I still am able to go back and forth to the Lubbock office, and I get to
Yes.
pop into Plano every now and then.
Yes. I see our very own Samantha's on and Scott is on.
Yes.
Good morning. And we
Good
will talk
morning.
about you in a little bit, Scott.
Yeah.
Samantha, who's on, is our social media and specialist guru. So give her some love because she really has taken our social media to that next level. We're doing a lot of fun
Hmm.
things on Instagram and Facebook. We're trying to keep a presence on LinkedIn, uh, Pinterest, Twitter. Now we have Kate Williams on Twitter. And we're just really, our goal in 2022 is really to connect with the community. We sometimes
Hmm.
get so caught up in the one-on-one, patient care, which we love doing. People don't realize what we're doing on a daily basis, you know?
Right.
And so I think just being able to reach out and kind of get the vibe of what's going on, what people need when it comes to food and nutrition. Our main office is in Plano, Texas, but we have the scope to be able to help people across 20 states. So if you know of somebody that needs a dietitian, we actually are insurance providers. A lot of times, insurance covers your visit with a dietitian 100%. And so, give us a call, lamondnutrition.com. But we are a pro of all dietitians. So if you don't see one of our dietitians, please do go to eatright.org and find a dietitian in your area. Um,
Absolutely.
I do want to we're going to be talking about the subject of gentle wellness and then
Hmm.
genetic wellness. But
Right.
I will say, Emily and I kind of came from the clinical side of nutrition.
Hmm.
Um, I came up through Children's Medical Center Dallas as a pediatric specialist. It's my second career, and I really learned a lot of the clinical side. I graduated my alma mater is UT Southwestern. I really got into, the there's Abby. Hi. And
Hey,
look,
Abby.
Samantha's like doing our links to our platform. That is so cool. She's
She's so
amazing.
good.
I love it. But like I got into like the clinical side, like doing a lot of tube feedings. I worked with like cardiac babies, literally dealing with a lot of very dangerous health conditions with children. And it
Intense.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was, if they did not gain weight or they did not grow, that was a big problem trying to deal with a lot of different things. And so when we started Lamont Nutrition, we started doing a lot more wellness and working with families and parents and how to navigate what is quote healthy in this day and
Right.
age. And what
Absolutely.
on the pediatric side, we kind of like navigated like the Ellen Satter things, like how to deal with picky eaters. But as we continued to go into the families and the dynamics of the families, we started seeing a lot of kind of things that were happening in the family unit. When
Absolutely.
I mean, tell me what you were seeing and that what we kind of help families do in that dynamic. Do you see?
Yeah, absolutely. So Angela and I are both moms, so we
Yeah.
always instantly relate to the family side and the challenges of where we started of feeding kids, feeding families, all of those
Hey,
things. And so,
Lauren.
again, as like Angela said, coming from our clinical side, we were more kind of like, this is what you have to do. Well, as we're watching these families walk these journeys that they're on, whether it's cardiac babies or food allergies, or I mean, there's anything and everything in between, we really noticed that sometimes those families were adopting that rigidness and that
Yeah.
structure within their own selves, which almost made feeding harder for them, harder for their kids. And so that really, I think, is where our passion for gentle nutrition started was, okay, this is the area we want to point them to. This is how we want to guide and direct. But how do we
Yeah.
do that in a way that is conducive earlier, like you said, of competent and confident feeders? And so
Yeah.
working with those kids and families, that's really where it evolved to where now we do have a large adult population, but that wasn't always the case. But I think that same message of gentle nutrition, how do we do this in a practical, realistic way, and then transitioning that into our adult side, I think that's been a game changer. And we,
Yeah.
Angela and I talk all the time is, like she said, we have 15 dietitians. So I think our practice has most definitely evolved over those years as we bring on new practitioners too that show us their version of gentle nutrition and where they're seeing their approach to food and families. And so I think that's really what has changed our practice for us, but has allowed us to keep building on that as we serve families.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of our dietitians popping on. Hello,
Yes.
hello. Hannah Bjerke is our very first dietitian we hired out of state, which was so
Yes.
cool. She came to us from Illinois. I'm a Midwestern girl, so I was super excited about that. Well, I
Yeah.
want to kind of go into like, in the last, I don't know, 5 years, we started really taking on a new type of patient.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of, I will tell you, I've come full circle when it comes to eating disorders, how to approach like the topic of weight. And I think this is a really, really important thing that really needs to change across this world, really. And
Absolutely.
my eyes have been open to it because I came from the clinical side, very conventional
Mm.
approach to like when somebody is, I don't know, even a child is going up on the growth chart, like doing this conventional, like they must lose weight and BMI and all of these things. And 5 years ago, we started slowly taking in these really sick patients that have eating disorders, and we
Mm-hmm.
we saw the other side of the carnage of a wrong relationship with food. And
Absolutely.
it really, I mean, I don't know about you, but it really started. And then we started doing a lot more CEUs, and we've really gotten into more of the Hayes philosophy, the healthy at every size philosophy. and the importance of being really mindful about what we say with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we're challenging our providers, our doctors, and things like
Absolutely.
that, um, to be really mindful about what to say and what not to say. And as pediatric
Which makes me think
specialists,
Haley just jumped on and Abby's on, and they're playing a huge role in
hello,
that for us.
hello.
You know, with Abby and Haley both are partnering as our medical professional liaisons and our
Yeah,
corporate and community services, and really taking that exact message out to our doctors and
yes,
other practitioners and health providers and saying, there's a different way, and there we can do
yes,
this in a way that is, again, building competent and confident people and feeders that this won't be damaging for the rest of their lives, and
yeah,
that they can have health at any size. We're all unique in how we're created, and we're thankful for that. And so really building that into the community, that's one of our, I would say, another huge goal for us in 2022 is Abby and Haley are leading the charge on that.
yeah. They're amazing, and they've been working a lot on a lot of really great projects behind the scenes. I think the reality is, let's go into this. Like, what is wellness? There was a really popular post that Samantha put on a couple weeks ago, where the popular kind of mindset is wellness is about
Mhm.
food and if you work out, like activity
Right.
and food. And if anybody has worked in the wellness space, you realize that is like those are like just two pieces of the pie. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, we have sleep hygiene, we have mental health, which, hello, we can talk into that.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to get my master's in clinical mental health counseling. I'm hoping
Mhm.
to do dual role LPC because the mental side of this is so interwoven in your wellness. But wellness
Absolutely.
should not be measured by a number on the scale. And so
Absolutely.
we should, but then this begs the question, like, okay, we know we should not be focused on weight, but how can we live in a space of haze, healthy at every size, and still be able to pursue health
That's right.
um, that is not diet culture?
Absolutely.
And this is really where I think we're trying to have a say in this, is to
Hmm.
say, how can one person, like me as a dietitian, you as a dietitian, we should never be ashamed of saying, hey, you guys need to eat more fruits and vegetables. You need more
Right.
fiber in your diet.
Absolutely.
I was a I was a chemistry and a biochem nerd. I loved to see how vitamins and minerals play a part in
Yeah.
maximizing health, and the fact of, if you didn't have those, the things that
Hmm.
can happen to somebody's health.
Well, I
um,
think to go into that, I always tell the people I work with, my clients, as a dietitian, I'm not telling you to eat more fruits and vegetables for the sake of eating fruits and vegetables.
yes,
It really goes into that deeper level of, we know that there's those anti-inflammatory properties, there's that fiber, there's
yes,
all of these different vitamins and minerals. Fruits and vegetables happen to be the powerhouse for some of
yes,
those. But then even you step into diet culture, well, what's the first thing that's usually out on diet culture? Carbs, right? So then we
yeah,
move in even to the grains and the whole grains and rices and things like that, all of the nutrients and vitamins and minerals we get from there. And so I do think as dietitians, it's really important that we have that message across the board. It's not
yeah,
just for the sake of one food group. And we can recognize that there's been a lot of damage done around those specific food groups,
yeah,
which is why people in that, it's like, oh, I just don't even want to go down that route, but recognizing the different vitamins and minerals and how that, I was reading something about PCOS just yesterday and talking about all of the different deficiencies that you see
yeah,
with magnesium and B6 and B12 and all of this, and how that really plays a role. Again, that's where we're looking at those powerhouse nutrients to be sure. And so
yeah.
being able to step into that role with, no matter what is happening, to have that consistent messaging, but also in a gentle way.
Well, and it boils down to this, when we're helping our patients in eating disorder recovery, is it all boils down to why you are choosing to do things,
Mhm.
like, hey, I want to have a salmon salad. Well, I love the flavor of a salmon salad, especially if it's fresh salmon. Um, you know, that's okay. But if you're having a salmon salad because you're trying to cut your carbs or trying to eat lower calories, you know, both of those things on the outside can look the same. So what we want to
Right.
do is get people, that's the reason why our tagline has changed the way you think about food, is that unfortunately diet culture is taken like healthy food, fruits and vegetables, beans, legumes, high plant-based eating,
Mm-hmm.
and they've hijacked it and
Absolutely.
they framed it around like weight control. And I want to take that back. I want to take that back as dietitians and say, you know
Absolutely.
what? We need to like be pursuing high plant-based eating. We need to be getting our sleep. We need to be meeting with a counselor. I'm really big into counseling. I mean, we have Flourish Counseling. I want to shout out is our local really close partner. We send people
Mm-hmm.
to them whether they have an eating disorder or not. Do they have sleep apnea? We need to go and get that checked. Are you making sure you're taking time out for vacation and self-care? We talk about that internally. So going into the whole, like why we got into the whole genetic testing, let's kind of
Yeah.
just kind of swing into that because in 2022, the wave of the future is genetics,
Mm-hmm.
nutrigenomics. We're seeing psychiatrists. We have a local psychiatrist that helps with eating disorders, doing genetic testing. Also, even in the
Mm-hmm.
ED space, we are in our genetic test that we put together, we've completely revamped it because I love Genetic Direction. The company, Scott Thompson is the owner. He was on here earlier. Hopefully he's still here. He has been kind of like the private label of a lot of companies. Well, we've taken
Mm-hmm.
a lot of their product and we've revamped the wording completely. So the messaging that comes through is going to be more Hayes friendly. There's Scott.
There's
He's back
Scott.
on. He's on. Yeah. So we are not as much participating in some of those, weight loss as the forefront. But how can somebody pursue wellness and want to know, like, the traits that
Mm-hmm.
we are testing a lot, the micronutrient panel, I mean, it just blows my mind. So,
Really cool.
with the Human Genomic
It is really
Project, Genome Project that came out, now we can test people's, uh, Samantha's put the
Thanks,
genetic
Samantha.
wellness page on there. She's awesome. Uh, we can now test like if you have a predisposition to have the inability to utilize nutrients in your body. Okay, so it's not diagnostic and we don't want to oversell it, but there are several of these
Right.
nutrients, and I can even attest to my own. Vitamin D seemed to, it said I had a predisposition to be low, and I absolutely, that was the one that I do test, and it's low. Folate B6 is low on mine. Calcium, these are really important nutrients. So even if you're taking in enough of those nutrients, which I
I was
do,
going to
I
say
love them.
pause, and we were talking about your vitamin D yesterday with
Yeah,
a runner outside, loves dairy foods and getting in there, and then even with supplementing, and vitamin D was still significantly low. And
yes, isn't
so
that crazy?
recognizing these are things that I am prone to have, and so how do I address that? Because then you go to the flip side of maybe our sciencey nerdy side of dietitians is we know what vitamin D is linked to, and of course there's
Yeah,
tons of other things within genetic wellness, but it's those types of things too
yeah,
where we're seeing, okay, I am prone to this, or this is maybe something I should check out further. Does not, it's like you
right.
said, it's not diagnostic, it's not saying this is absolutely what it is, but you know what, let's do a little bit further testing and dig a little deeper here.
So what we usually do with this genetic testing, which we've used a different company in the past, I'm really excited about this new uh, thing that we've actually put together on our own. Uh, it really pulls in, like, say, if the dietitian is meeting with them, they have certain health issues, maybe GI issues, or we get a lot of people that have a
Right.
lot of problems, health problems, and they've gone to every single doctor and they don't know what is going on. Now, this is what I'm saying is I don't think every single person needs to take this genetic
Right.
test. There's some people that are still needing to get enough sleep. There's still people that need
Absolutely.
to they just need to start eating breakfast in the morning or, like really starting to
Start
pack their
building their
lunch so
plate.
they can, yeah. So like, I mean, they don't need this level 3 look, but for the people that really it speaks to, like there's something going on, I don't know. These are in the micronutrient area. These are not things that you typically test at the doctor's office.
Right.
Like nobody tests,
No.
a lot of these like phosphorus and selenium, all those things are extra, a lot extra. So to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
this kind of this look into what your genes are saying. The other things that our test does is how you can be physically fit, and the best way when it comes to like strength training or cardiovascular. How is that going to be for your genetics? Do you build muscle? When I think about me at 50 years old, I'm like, some of these things about ways to keep muscle on my body as I age is important to me,
Mm-hmm.
and this genetic test will kind of tell you what it says and how you can build muscle a little bit better. So we're starting to get into this like really cool science that we want to be able to
Mm-hmm.
expose to our client base for those that want it. I will say, for those that are recovering from an eating disorder, right now we are saying that this test will not be available to them.
Right.
But our dietitians are so good at evaluating, because they work with them, a lot of these people weekly, and they do graduate. They do better because gentle nutrition is a topic that we still want to be able to have for them. They're like, okay, I'm recovering from my eating disorder, but how can I pursue health in a balanced way? That's not
Right.
going into the only alternative that they know out there, which is the diet culture. So we'd
That's
love to be
right.
able to kind of be that that place for them. I'd love to take
Yep. Absolutely.
questions. I know we've got more people on here watching us, so
Yeah.
feel free to ask us questions about genetic wellness, that new product that just launched. We are doing $50 off right now, and it's only for a month. So if you're thinking about doing it, I would do it. And then just anything that you would love to hear, because we're going to start doing this monthly, right, Emily?
Yes.
When's our
What'd we
next?
say? Maybe the second Friday of every month, to be
Yeah,
determined.
the second Friday of every month, I believe. Is it February 11th? That
Mm-hmm.
Okay, February 11th at 9
Yes.
o'clock Central Time is when we'll come on here and chat. But yeah, just wanting to like just come out here and see what everybody is saying, what they're doing. How can we pursue health in 2022 without doing the latest fad diet, or like, having to
Mm-hmm.
involve health, body weight? You can pursue health and say, hey, I want to start walking more, or I want to be able to, have more fruits and veggies on my plate, or I want to start like really getting a lot more energy in the way that I'm eating. How can I do that in a way that's not rigid? Because we
Yeah.
don't want rigid. We want balance, and we don't want extremes.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of
Something
things
I
are you
do a
doing
lot
for your
with my
patients?
patients is, even as we think about gentle nutrition, and sometimes people think about, like we've been saying over and over, you think about health and wellness and it's instantly food and exercise and very intense. But so much bigger is even a simple thing as asking yourself, what am I doing on purpose for my health today? Or what did I do on purpose for my health today? Those are such
It's good.
easy questions. Sometimes we don't even think about them. Coming back into the big picture of, did I go to bed at 9 rather than midnight, or did I have breakfast, or did I maybe, instead of trying to fuel on coffee all day, I had a glass of water, or I did there's so many
Yeah.
simple small things that are still wins towards our
Yeah.
health and towards our overall well-being. And so even looking into that as how it pairs with this gentle nutrition and things like that.
Yeah, like our Freedom Wellness program, we love that word
Mm,
freedom, because
yes.
freedom from the need to diet.
Mm-hmm.
The wellness program really goes through 4 areas, because what I realize, and what you realize, and what all of our dietitians have realized, when you get into these people's dynamics of their life, you can't not talk about other areas of your life. Like, we can't
Right.
just be the silo of food, because everything
Mm-hmm.
affects our food decisions, like
Absolutely.
I always think about the teachers and the principals that don't even, I mean, they literally don't even get
Absolutely.
a, enough time to eat lunch whenever in the middle of the day, and they're
Mhm.
overworked and they're really at their wits' end in their professional life. So we talk about building boundaries and, you know, ways to be able to carve out 30 minutes just for them. And when they actually look into it, they can actually do that. They just need to put their foot down. If you're a
Right.
manager, you can say, I have a lunch, I have a lunch or I have a meeting every day at, 30
Absolutely.
minutes, and you don't even have to say what it is. It's a standing one, and sorry, there's no appointments I can be in between this. I think people
Absolutely.
are afraid to do those things and really put those boundaries up in their life, but they make a huge difference in, the trajectory of their health.
Absolutely. Well, that's even something big that we talk about in Freedom Wellness is that work-life balance, as most adults do have that work and life balance that they're constantly trying to figure out. And so
Yeah.
how do you approach that in a way that is a sustainable way that I've got to go, go, go. And then at the cost of what? And so
Yeah.
sometimes it's at a really big cost to our health and our well-being. And so even looking bigger into that picture as well. Those are things we all touch on as dietitians that we touch on every day. And so I think those are the cool things that lead into genetic wellness. Once we get to that point where we're digging and we're implementing and we're doing, where are some of the intricacies that maybe we're missing or overlooking or things like that? That part is really cool of how all of this can pair together and what we can do day to day.
Mhm.
Something I was going to say earlier when you were talking about, we fully recognize, and we're not even making this test available to, I would say, over 50% of our population. So definitely not something that everybody needs to do. But you and I were listening to a podcast a few weeks ago from Dr. Mailer, and he even
Yeah.
mentioned
Yeah.
nutrigenomics and where that's coming with this genetic testing and how that is the future of health and what that looks like. And so to be kind of on the forefront, I had that thought this morning thinking about today. I thought it is interesting because this is the forefront of it. What will it look like? And how will we be able to truly customize wellness and
Yeah.
healthcare and all of that? So, anyways, those things are exciting to think about.
Very exciting. And I do want to say that, I mean, look at the data when it comes to genetic testing. There are certain tests that, at least as an organization, that we are very evidence-based. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we don't do things like sensitivity testing. We don't subscribe.
Right.
We work directly with allergists, immunologists. Um, we are conservative on supplementation. We
Mm-hmm.
will suggest a supplement if there's a
Absolutely.
deficiency or if there's evidence that they need additional. But we are food
Right.
first. And we really do look at the evidence, and it's the reason why we chose to move forward with the genomic side. Is the data is there, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody that is interested in looking at the data, we can go. I know Scott on his website geneticdirection.com is got a ton of data, but there's a lot that we can do about uh, what our genes say about us. And so we'd love to be able to provide that information to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's ready. Unfortunately, it's not covered for under insurance. Our services for dietitians are typically covered. So people don't realize this, that a lot of times they can come and see a dietitian for $0, like
Right.
zero. And they're like, what's the
Absolutely.
catch? I'm like, no, we get paid. We get paid
That's right.
through the insurance, just like if you were to go to the doctor. And Blue Cross Blue
Absolutely.
Shield of Texas, under most health plans, will provide. We are considered preventative services, which is
Mhm.
really, really cool,
Yeah.
because not all states do it. In the state of Texas, it does, and often it is covered. United Healthcare, Cigna, uh, uh, Baylor Scott and White is another big one that we
Yeah.
cover, but we go across 20 states, so it's really neat. I personally believe that everybody should have a dietitian that they check in with like once a
Right.
year. But the ones that are going to be balanced in their approach, not militaristic, because we
That's
are
right.
starting to see there is a difference in who you choose. We believe in a gentle approach to wellness, whole body wellness, like looking at all areas, not just
Mhm.
nutrition, working really tightly with our therapy partners, our doctors that have our same philosophy,
Right.
um, a lot of evidence-based, and making sure that we talk about it across the whole family unit, not about weight. What else do you want to add before we go out? We're at 9:31 already. What fun did we
Well,
have?
time flies when you're having fun.
Hey,
I took one sip of my coffee.
can you talk about what fun you had this morning right before we were about to go live?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Lord provided here because we prayed over this specifically as I was going on clicking my link and my power went. "Rrrr." So found a hot spot and that's how I've connected. So I'm sitting in the dark, but right by a window. So it was an exciting
I love
start to
it.
the morning,
I love it.
but we
Well,
made
and
it through.
I think faith is also part of the wellness piece. Like Emily and I are
Absolutely.
big women of faith. And so people that are believers or whatever their belief system is, we also bring that into the wellness piece when we're trying to help people become the people that they want to be. COVID is kind of one of those, times that we're really having to say, what do we want in our life? And I think it's been a tough last 2 years, but I think it's been a very important time of reflection. There's the great resignation. A lot of people are leaving their jobs and pursuing something. I actually started grad school at the beginning of
Yeah.
of
And
COVID.
yep.
And so, it's important that we do that. And our dietitians are amazing at helping people do that. I mean, I feel like we're credentialed health coaches. We have the evidence base, but we really do spend 90 minutes in one visit, an
Mhm.
hour for follow-ups, and it's typically paid for, through insurance. I mean, how can it get any better than that? And I'm a little biased. I think we have the best of the best. What do you think?
Oh, I do. I'm looking at the
I
our
know.
dietitians that have popped on, and I just think about specific things about each one of them, and I think anybody that maybe I'm biased because I get to hire them and we get to
Yep.
hand pick them, but we hand pick them with purpose, and I think they're the best of the best, and it's exciting to be able to do this with them and join on our mission with them. And any dietitian out of the 15 in our practice, you'll find one that totally fits with you and the uniqueness of what they bring to their own practice.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you can join us every month, guys. It'll be the
Uh,
second Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time. We're going to keep looking at these comments as they come in, even after the live. So feel free to let
Absolutely.
us know what you'd like us to chime in on, what topics
Yeah.
going
And if there's
forward.
something specific for next month or the months
Yeah,
following that you would love for us to dig deeper into, we would love to do it. So
and maybe even interview
we
somebody.
want
If
to hear
somebody
from
says,
you.
hey, you need to interview this person, we'll bring them
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a
Okay.
great weekend. Emily, thank you so
Yeah.
much for chiming in, even though you're on hotspot and no electricity.
Hey, we made it work. We're flexible.
I love it. All right, you guys have a good weekend. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.